Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Dwayne Hewlett, getting ready to go with a big Gangbusters 41 special show tonight. Got quite the crew here. Matt Stroker Ace Strassheim is in the house. I don't know if he still goes by that or not. He's kind of got the white beard going on, like Stroker Ace now. So talk to him a little bit. Dugan Thye is here as well. Darren is here, but we're not going to put Darren on because he's a has-been. Don't need to talk to him anymore. So we're going to talk to Dugan. Dugan's working out a deal, I think, as we sit here trying to get into a late model, but we'll have to talk about that a little bit later. Big racing weekend coming up for 34 Raceway, so make sure you get out to the racetrack. Gangbusters 41. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. You'll see some flyers during our advertisements about what that's all about, what all is going on. Dirt Nights are going to be there for the IMCA Modifieds, and the Deary Brothers Summer Series is going to be there, which is why we have Mr. Strassheim with us tonight. Got a little outside of that, a little bit slower weekend. Peoria's got some stuff going on, so the big event this weekend is at 34. We got some big racing next weekend. Kind of going again is the Fall Hall. Is next weekend at 34 Raceway, and then you go down into the micro sprint stuff. Coles County has a Saturday show, and Wayne County Speedway has a Friday night show, so they're switching over to Friday night because of some issues. We'll talk about that at the end of the night. Then next week as well is Big Modified Mania at Tri-City Speedway down in Granite City, Illinois. They'll have UMP late models and, of course, UMP Modifieds. It's $3,000, $5,000, and $5,000 to win for Modifieds, $3,000, $3,000, and $5,000 to win for the late models at Tri-City Speedway next weekend. So that's going to be a great 3 days of racing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday at Tri-City Speedway down there. Then we go 2 weeks out, and we have the big $3,000 to win race at Wayne County Speedway for the Pure Max Racing Heart Non-Wing Series. Going to be a great weekend, a great few weeks, and racing season is winding down. So make sure you get out there and you get some checking out some races that are going on in the area, because before you know it, it's going to be gone. It's going to be only football season. Of course, we've got baseball season winding down as well if you're into that kind of stuff, just sticking ball sports. But at any rate, we're going to be right back. Matt Strassheim is going to be the first guest, and I didn't even tell him that. He just now learned it standing here. We're playing some on the big screens, which you can't really see, obviously, at home, but got some Dirt, Dust, and Speed video from 2012 with, I think it was April 21st of 2012. Got hobby stocks, stock cars, all kinds of fun stuff, so make sure you check that out. If you ever come to a Buffalo Wild Wings recording for the CFF Racing Show, we always play a video or two. Always a lot of fun. We got some nice folks here tonight. Hopefully we get some more of you to come in the future. We're going to take our first break right now. Thank some of our sponsors, and we'll be back with Matt Strassheim right after this. welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. The man, the myth, the legend, Matt Strassheim.
I've seen that on a T-shirt once, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't me.
Well, it should have been. I saw you hand out some T-shirts once.
Yeah,
You weren't very good at it though. You didn't have the whole handing T-shirt things out down right at Otis Campbell's.
No, but we had fun doing it.
We did have fun doing it. We did have fun.
It's all that counts.
Racing, Otis Campbell's, whatever it is, it's all about having fun.
Absolutely.
So our first performance bodies in-studio guest of the night, back in a late model. What's that like? After being retired, I mean, the beard's got a little wider since the last time I saw you.
Well, yeah, I got a little wiser, I think, with the...
Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
So you just like painted that stuff in there? Or is it come out, is that natural?
It's all natural. I'm proud to say it's all natural. Yeah.
Well, I guess then you take what you can get. If that's the only way you can get smarter is to get a white beard, then you better take it.
Yeah, we will go with that. Okay.
So you ran Knoxville Speedway this year, or the county fair race that I promoted.
I did, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to come say hi, but you looked awfully busy that night.
I was a little busy occasionally.
So it's good to see you tonight.
Jessi doesn't know anything about that though, does she? On race night being busy?
No, she's usually just, I don't know, standing around twiddling her thumbs.
Talking to people, goofing off.
Yeah.
She doesn't walk 20 miles or nothing tonight. So what's it like being back in a car?
It's good. It's still had the edge to do it a little bit. So
well, I would hope, since you're back in a car.
Yeah, and wanted to support 34 Raceway, and with this new late model rules, the engine package, and everything about it, it's fun. It's a different tire than what I used to run, and it's a lot of fun. It feels good.
So what is it about the engine package is different? I know they allowed a crate motor now, right?
Yeah, I run a 604 crate motor, and last year, like Lee County have run these for the last couple of years, and so Brad and Jessi, they were talking about running these late models, the crate late models, and then it was a series of things, and then IMCA came in and put the crate engine into their IMCA package, which worked out great, and
it's perfect timing.
Perfect timing, and wanted to support it, and yeah, I still love wheeling a late model, so having a good time.
It's not like you haven't done it at all. When did you quit?
I think 2013. I ran a handful of races, and then I sold everything.
But it's not like you haven't done it at all. You've got in a car a time or two a year, it seemed like.
Just,
or maybe it was
just the last 2 years. Last year, I raced. Last 2 years, Lynn Richards' car. I raced it a couple times last year and a couple times the year before. So I had a good idea of the feel for it, what the difference in the tires. It's a bigger, better tire than what I'm used to, and that was the first time I ran the crate engine, and it's for what it cost and the performance of it, it's a good deal, and it's good for weekly late model racing. It's I'm happy with it.
So a bigger tire, a crate motor, ideally they should be easier to drive.
Well, you would think so. You would. It makes sense, but they're an animal to drive. They can be a handful. Sometimes you got to manhandle them like crazy. You got to be on top of them. When it slicks off, sure it gets a little easier, but it's because of the package. You almost have to drive it harder sometimes, and it's a whole different. It's really a whole different feel in the car, but it's a lot of fun. So I would recommend the IMCA crate package to anyone. It's a good deal.
late models were struggling pretty badly. I mean, when you got out, there's a lot of people got out. I mean, Derbyshire's got out, all those guys got out around that time. So it's been a struggle with late models at 34 Raceway and a lot of places. Is this something that can save late models as a whole, do you think? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I say, the cost in the motor is so much less expensive. It's a race saver. It's good for everything. You can. I mean, I think when I got out, I think that spec motor. I mean, you could put $25,000 in a spec motor. I think you could go to GM and buy this crate motor for, I don't know, $6,500, something like that.
And you're not supposed to do anything to them, right?
Yes, you can't. You can't do anything. They're sealed up. So I hope nobody's doing anything to them. But it's a good. And of course, that was first time I got into one. Of course, I was curious and had a lot of people ask me what the performance was. And of course, it's on a different tire, so it's a little different. But I was impressed. I was impressed with it, with the performance and the cost ratio. I think it's a great deal.
So, obviously, you're still farming, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So farming season's coming now. How does that all work now that you've grown up a little bit, mixing racing and farming and all that stuff? You see yourself doing it for quite a while now that they got this crate motor package?
That's a good question. When I got out of it in 2013, it was just, at that time, Burlington had done away with the weekly late models, and it just became, and that was fine. And so I just travel. I'd done a lot of traveling anyway, but it just got to the point where it was more work than fun, and that's why I sold out and quit racing. But and that's a big part of it with this crate engine rule and everything.
There's not as much work to it, is
yeah,
there?
and Burlington's 34 schedule is basically an every other week schedule, which works out great. I love it. I could go somewhere every other week when Burlington's not racing and race, but I like the every other week deal. And with the crate engine, and so I went out and bought. I wasn't going to go out and buy a new car. Couldn't afford that. I just found a older car and had the right stuff on it, the 604, the right parts on it, and I was just as curious as anybody else to how it was going to work, and it's turned out really good. I think it's a great deal. I want to see the late model class grow, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Now, you mentioned one of the things that people tend to talk a lot about right now is racing's becoming less weekly and more special oriented. You, as a racer, kind of like the every other week thing, which gets, by its definition, gets you away from the weekly racing. You've been around racing for a long time. Do you see that as becoming part of the deal? More specials, maybe less races throughout the year, more of a specials only kind of deal with a few weekly type shows mixed in? I mean, where do you think it's going as a racer? What do you want to see? What do you think? Of
course, I still want to see a weekly racing schedule program. And that is right. The specials are. I think it's kind of coming more to big specials and less weekly racing, but the weekly racing has to be there to make it all work still, I think. And I love the every other week. If 34 Raceway race late models every week, well, yeah, I would probably be there every week racing them. Right. But and there's a lot of other stuff going on anymore, but I just want to see weekly racing stay alive, keep going, and that's why this
So
late model deal is I think it's a great deal.
A lot of people, there's that argument of engine builders. It's not fair to engine builders if you do crate stuff and so on and so forth. But engine builders, just like, I don't know, Mercedes-Benz's, for example, price themselves out of the game. People can't afford that. If the crate's what they can afford, then a crate's what they can afford. And you got to figure out a way to balance that, I suppose, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the way the IMCA spec engine, I think they were kind of, to a point, pricing themselves out of the game. And I don't know the car counts. I think the car count, the weekly car counts were going down, and that's why. And I think this year with the addition of the crate engine, I think they've gained car counts, and I think it's great racing. So I mean, you want to go, the way I look at it is, as far as late model racing goes, if you want to go big time late model racing, we'll buy the 900 horsepower engine and go do the big stuff. But who can do that? So this affordable crate engine is it's the only, for weekly racing, it's the only way to go, really, I think, to keep it going.
Well, let's talk about Stroker Ace. Let's talk about the nickname.
All right.
I think there's people from back in the day, in your height of popularity, we'll call it, that might have not even known your real name. They might have just known you as Stroker Ace. I mean, I remember announcing Stroker Ace. I mean, it was there. Where did it come from? Or can we talk about it? This is internet, so we can talk about anything we want to.
Yeah, it was back in the hobby stock days. I raced hobby stocks for 3 years, and somehow I don't know, the Stroker Ace movie is where it originated from. I don't know if there's really a particular story or reason why, but it happened and it's there. It just happened. It's there, and yeah, that's some people. That's still what I'm known by to some people today, and but as far as yeah, I mean, there's worse things you could have been called. Yeah. There's probably worse things you have been called. Oh, absolutely. So I was pretty happy with Stroker Ace because it could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
Now, we were joking with Jessi earlier that, I always said when I was promoting a race, if you fight on the front stretch, it's okay. If you fight in the pit area, it's not okay. She does not agree with me. It's something about family friendly something. I don't understand it. But I'm thinking a ring. I'll talk to Dugan about this too. A ring on the front stretch could sell some tickets.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Little addition to the race, weekly racing. Get a couple people out there in the ring every week.
I'm saying there's a few people that would like to do that too. Some slobber knocking going on.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win situation.
It sells tickets.
I don't see how it could go wrong at all.
I don't either. I think it's a great plan. We'll ask Dugan. I think we'll see if Dugan will want to be one of the first volunteers. Well, how's that sound? We don't want to hurt that pretty face of yours. We can mess Dugan's up a little bit. He grows. He's got that beard going on anyway, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's get that ring out there and
move the scales for that purpose.
So what are you thinking? Just pull a couple people out after a race?
I think what we should do is we should take two guys that beat on each other through the race, grab them, and like right after the race, and say, okay, if you're willing, this is your time to beat the hell out of each other.
You want to put some money on it?
Yeah, we could. Why not?
Might as well.
Quick phone betting. We can make an app for the phone. Perfect. We got it figured out. We got a money making. That's not illegal in Iowa, is it? Is that illegal in Iowa?
I wouldn't worry about the legal, illegal.
That'd be their problem anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
we need to get this set up.
Yeah. Every race, you pull two people out. You give them a money incentive to get in the ring, fight it out.
There you go. Winner gets 15, loser gets 5.
I really don't see how this could go bad.
I don't think it could go wrong at all. I think we're onto something.
Yep.
We'll have to work this out. Matt, thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate it. I do have a T-shirt over there. It's probably too big for you, but you probably have a fat friend you can give it to.
Well,
Cut the sleeves off and you'll be fine. That's what Jessi says.
of course, I'll cut the sleeves off.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to dig pretty deep in the closet to find one with sleeves on it to wear here.
You cut your sleeves off your polo shirts normally?
No, but this is the only polo shirt I got.
So you had to dig to the bottom of the
Yeah.
closet to find the one polo shirt that you had.
Yeah, I don't have a real deep wardrobe, so.
That does not surprise me. Not even a little. I'm surprised it doesn't have a racing logo on it of some sort.
Like I said, I had to dig pretty deep because I wanted to look good for you.
Well, I appreciate it. You got to make me look bad. I appreciate it greatly. Matt Strassheim, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Actually, we're going to step aside with this first video. Our friends at 357 Studios has thrown us some videos to come your way. So we're going to throw that at you right now here as we show you some of the micro stuff that they do down at, I think the first one's going to be at Coles County Speedway. So take a look at this, and then we'll be back with Dugan Thye right after this. All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and Dugan T is way cuter than I remembered him being.
I know, gosh. That's
Jess-
our Dugan.
Jesse, you were here, so I wanted to snag you. I was going to have you end the show with me, but
Sorry.
something about going to bed and
I know. Some of
needing
us work
sleep.
at 7, and I've been going to work early, so I gotta go home and go to bed.
It's like you have a real job and a real job.
Right, it is. You got 2 full-time jobs. It's crazy.
Oh, well, somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about Gangbusters 41, and then I'm not going to have a show next week, so tell us about the fall hall too.
All right, so we've got the Gangbusters 41 this weekend. That actually was scheduled for June, and unfortunately we weren't able to get that in because that was one of our rainouts. And
One of your 13?
One of our 13, yes. It's been a rough year. But so within that time frame, we talked with the Oliver family, who the race itself is actually in honor of Grandpa Jim Oliver Sr., who passed away last year. And it's something that we did something last year, but it wasn't called the Gangbusters. And this year we said, all right, we've got to give it a name. And Diane said, he always said, you know, it's on like Gangbusters, boys, let's go. So that's how the name came about, and it's just kind of a cool name. I like it. So we've got the Gangbusters 41, and so this race is $1,441 to win IMCA stock cars, $1,041 to win IMCA sport mods, and we have now $341 to win for the IMCA sport compacts, along with the 500th Dairy Brothers Summer Series race and the Dirt Night modified. So this is a huge night of racing. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be something that, you know, we're going to know that Grandpa Oliver's there with us and that he's proud of what we're doing, you know, for that. So, you know, without the Oliver family, this wouldn't be possible. So sponsors, we have Oliver Heating and Air, Extreme Graphics, Preferred Auto. We have Levine Sanitation. Jimmy Sykes came on and gave some extra money to make the sport mods $1,041 to win. And then we had Sunny's Market come on this week to increase the purse for the sport compacts as well. So very cool. Very much appreciated.
The Oliver name is synonymous with racing in Southeast Iowa. I mean,
Yes.
when the hobby stocks were really popular, there was always 3 or 4. It seemed like there was 8 of them, but I don't know
Sure.
how many there actually were. But
Yeah.
there was tons of the Olivers running around.
Absolutely.
And really, the only one you see running around now is John
Sure.
Oliver Jr.
Yep.
But he's kind of holding that legacy on a little bit with the racing. But he's doing it, obviously, still kicking butt and taking names. So that whole deal that whole weekend, or this whole weekend, I should say, has really blown up for you guys, hasn't it? I mean,
It
there's a
has.
whole lot going on this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. And to be able to add a show like that to the Dairy Brothers Summer Series and the Dirt Night Modifieds is huge. And I like that this weekend is a mix of everything. And we're going to have all the IMCA officials there. It's going to be just a really killer weekend of racing, and I cannot wait. It's going to be great.
Well, the fall hall is actually scheduled when it was supposed to be,
Yes.
as of now.
Yes.
So the fall hall, second year,
Yep.
hoping for some improvements, I know, but it's a great concept, and getting some crowd out and cars. I think the cars are going to be there.
Absolutely. So the 360 Fall Hall, this is the second year for that. This is a 2-day event, so we're actually racing on Friday. They're going to race for $2,000 on Friday, and then on Saturday it's $3,400 to win, capping off the Sprint Invaders season. And you know, we had the Lucas Oil ASCS here a few weeks back, and a lot of those guys, actually Seth Bergman last year won our Saturday show. I know he's coming back. He's from Washington, so we're excited to have some of those guys come back up because they're at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri this week. So it's not a far travel for them before they go home for the season. So
Right, they're kind of ending their season, and this fits into their schedule real well.
Absolutely.
Did you plan that, or was that an
yes,
accident?
we knew that this was the weekend that they did their 360 Nationals down there and that big show. So Brad actually planned that around, and you know, the fall hall, we were just driving one day trying to come up with a catchy name because, you know, on the gas hauling for cash. So I'm thinking farmers are in the field, they're harvesting, and that's where we came up with kind of that title. We didn't realize that the Fall Brawl, which is a 360 show at I-80, I believe it is, was also right in the vicinity. So we did not name it based on that, but you know, I think the Fall Hall is a catchy title, and you know, our logo for this is a sprint car hauling a grain cart with money flying out of the back. So it's a pretty cool concept, and we hope it continues to take off and thrive, because last year we had a really great car count and it was a really fun race. So
Well, we talked earlier before the All-Star show, and it was had been a rough year.
Yeah.
Hasn't gotten a whole ton better for you guys, rain-wise, has it?
Oh, it's been brutal. Just absolutely brutal. You know, we had the first few weeks where we had 10 inches of rain there within about 3.5 days. You know, we were dumping 3 and 4 inches out there every couple days, and it was just terrible. It was brutal. So, you know, the racetrack didn't come back out of that easily. We fought the racetrack at the beginning of the year, you know, and we've actually fought it throughout the year still, because we had to do some tiling there in 3 and 4 to try to get it to dry out, because that just sat wet, and that's what caused the rutting and stuff like that. And you know, there was an issue that arose in turn 1, and we think that was a drainage issue too. So we're glad to have finally overcome those issues and be able to kind of move forward and progress through the rest of the season. And you know, I've kind of come to the point where at this point I have a copy of the 2019 schedule, and I'm willing to throw that on the fire after next weekend and say, you know, we're starting fresh, we're moving on next season. We've already started on the schedule, and I'm looking forward to next season. We're going to add some new stuff, you know, keep it fresh, keep it moving, and we're excited about it. I mean, we're already in talks with some different series, and you know, things are going fine. They're going well going into the end of the season and into the next season. So
it'd be nice to get a couple good weekends in, though, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. We really, really, really want to get this weekend in. So we hope that Mother Nature cooperates with us so that we can do that. This race is going to be awesome. It's just going to be absolutely tremendous, and next weekend's going to be a killer weekend too. So if we can get both of these in, it's, you know, that sets us up well for next season, and off we go. We have our banquet already scheduled for November 15th. It's a Friday at Fun City, and we're excited, you know, just kind of let our hair down and celebrate a year of racing, and kind of be able to tell the guys and gals who race with us kind of what's coming next with us. So we're excited about that too.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know I didn't give you any heads up.
That's all right.
Kind of just right there.
No big deal.
I went to a break and said, hey, Jessi.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Thank you much. Thanks for everything you do to help us get this thing going.
Well,
and
thank you so much
hopefully-
for letting us talk too. It means a lot to us to be able to get our name out there and kind of tell our story, and you know, you get to see a promoter's perspective a little bit more. So
Yeah,
appreciate it.
we'll do some more of that over the winter too.
Absolutely.
So
Sounds great.
We'll be back on the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, right after this. All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and Dugan is actually with us now.
How's it going?
So you have about the same length of hair as Jessi,
Yeah,
a little more facial hair.
probably surprised people when she was on here instead of me when you said it was supposed to be me.
Yeah, well, you're here, and that's what's important. Dad's over there.
I was late here, just like I am to the races usually.
Yeah, that's true. You were late, weren't you? Now, you got asked a little late too. I was looking for somebody and trying to find a modified driver that would be willing to come, and sent you a message on Facebook. And what were you doing when I sent you a message?
I was playing golf and slightly intoxicated and kind of forgot about it, but
Well, you remembered to get here at least.
Yeah,
Except Dad. When did Dad find out he was coming?
after work today.
I want to point out, I did ask him 2 days ago
Yes.
about coming, and Darren finds out today.
Yeah. I
So-
forgot about it kind of
So
until this morning.
you kind of grew up at 34 Raceway a little bit. You kind of
Yeah.
cut your teeth there. What all of you ran there? Did you run a 4-cylinder there for a while?
No, I started out in the hobby stock
That's
when I was
right,
14.
okay. It was so long ago I couldn't remember.
10 years ago.
So you're old enough to drink, obviously now,
Yeah.
and you're old enough to drive a modified.
Yep.
You've drove a sprint car.
Yes.
What all have you driven? Is that it?
Just those three.
So, and you're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, wheeling and dealing, trying to get yourself into a late model.
I just want to test the waters in one. I don't know. I was kind of thinking about trying something different next year, and I don't really want to buy one and then not like it. So I'd kind of like to try one. And Matt maybe he's gonna let me try that out. I don't know. We'll see.
So the sprint car deal, I know you ran the sprint car at Jacksonville at least. I don't know where else you drove it, but you drove it at
I
Jacksonville,
ran
right?
it 8 times last year, actually. I think majority of times was at 34, and then Donaldson a couple of times, and Jacksonville, which was the first time I was ever there, and of course it was in something I only drove a handful of times.
So what's the sprint car like in comparison to the other stuff? I mean, it's a 305, right? So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was probably the easiest thing I have drove up to this point, and some of that's because I 305 motor honestly isn't any more horsepower than what the open motor I have in my modified, so
you got a lot more tire and a wing.
a lot more tire and a wing pushing you down. It's a whole nother breed of machine though. Fun to drive though. They're fast. You can definitely tell the difference between a modified and a sprint car speed wise.
So how hard is it to drive that modified? I hear people talk, you go run with UMP cars quite a bit. You just kind of go and you're kind of that local outlaw guy. You go.
I hit whatever I
Yeah.
feel like going to. I didn't commit to running points anywhere this year. I've been to 34. I went to Peoria to run UMP on Saturdays instead of going and running at my home track 15 minutes away. But it's whatever I feel like going and hitting.
So what is your thought process behind? Does that make it a little less pressure, a little more fun when you're not worrying about points?
Yeah. Points racing, I mean, everybody wants to win a championship, but it ruins racing too, because then you get disappointed because you have one bad night somewhere and, oh man, I lost points on this person and now I'm out of it, and it just takes a little bit of pressure off, yeah.
So obviously you grew up at the racetrack. Before you started racing, you were at the racetrack with your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Was there ever any doubt that you were going to race or not?
No. I always thought so. My dad gave me the option if I wanted to race a 4-wheeler or a quad when I was 14, and I wanted a roll cage around me because we don't
You
need
tear up enough stuff with a roll cage.
We don't need any broken bones.
Yeah, the roll cage stuff is definitely safer than the non-roll
Oh
cage
yeah.
stuff. But at least you were thinking 4 wheels.
Oh yeah, definitely 4 wheels. Motorcycle, I can't handle a motorcycle.
So when you grew up watching your dad, was your goal, obviously now you're talking late model, what have you been thinking as you've grown up and ran these different things? Is the late model where you want to get to? You see yourself going back to a modified at some point?
Well, I haven't even talked about selling all my modified stuff yet, so that's gonna be something I have like 3 cars, so there might just be 2 that get sold and keep 1 for whatever. And I don't know. We're still thinking. I've considered the 305 too. I haven't checked that off yet. Like I said, it's all.
You get him to let you in the late model, you'll have a better idea what you want to do, right?
Exactly.
So we got to make a push on the CFF Racing Show page or anything else to let Strassheim to make sure Strassheim lets you get in that late model. That's fair enough, don't you think?
He seems like he would. So he's
a pretty good
happens.
guy. He's a pretty good guy. That Strassheim is. So dirt nights are in town this weekend.
Yes.
You've traveled around. You race with some people. But with the idea of maybe being on TV and seeing some stuff like that, does that add any coolness to this weekend's racing for the local modified racer?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, people get to watch it on TV, and then you see it come into your own track. And I hate to say it, I'm not planning on racing this weekend out at 34 with them. My IMCA shocks are junk, and to be completely honest, the guys that are going to be coming in to race with them, if you don't have good stuff, then there's almost no point in running with them because they'll show you why.
Now, let's take a get away from where I was going with that since you brought it up. Shocks were a big topic of conversation before we came on air.
Yes.
Shocks are as big of a deal in racing today in whatever division you're running in.
Yes.
But modifieds included as anything, aren't they?
Hugely. It's shocks. I mean, if you want to have your car handled right, you put a good set of shocks on it. You'll tell night and day from what you were running before to the new ones that you bought. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's crazy.
So, the big thing when people go back and forth from UMP to IMCA, I do the Knoxville race, and you've ran the Knoxville race in Knoxville, Illinois. The big argument always is well, they get to run the M40 or the H40 or I'm drawing a blank, but we have to run the G60. And it's not, our tire's harder. It's not fair. It's the tire. If you have shocks, do the tires make as big a difference anymore? I mean, you run them both, so.
I mean, shocks are going to help you whether you're running a big tire or a small tire. Like UMP, their tires are a little bit bigger and they're a softer compound and they're easier to get to the ground where you can run an open motor instead of a crate motor in an IMCA car with them G60s and get them hooked up, whereas you put an open motor in and they don't hook up, even with good shocks on. Unless you're really good with the gas pedal and got your whole car right where it needs to be. It's just, shocks are huge though right now. It seems like more than anything.
So when you come to Knoxville, if the tire rules open, you're always going UMP?
Oh yeah. The chain links and, like I said, softer compound. You got an option for the right rear, and yeah, I'd go with those any day if you had to put one up against the other.
So the half-mile track's a struggle at Knoxville. You grew up, your dad raced there before you were racing. You watched a lot of races there.
Oh yeah.
You don't run a ton of half miles. Nobody does anymore.
No, he's more short tracks.
How big of a disadvantage for a track like Knoxville trying to race is that half mile from a racer's perspective?
I mean, it all depends if you like half miles or not. Knoxville is one of them places you can't be afraid to stay on the gas pedal them straightaways are huge. So if you lift and somebody else drives for another second harder than you into the corner, you've already lost that much ground. It's all in driver preference. A lot of it is too, but.
So how much harder do you feel like it is on equipment? That's the big argument that I hear. It's a lot harder on equipment.
Motors.
You're going a lot faster, obviously. So if you wreck, the wreck's bigger.
Yeah.
You could ask a few guys this year about that.
Yeah, that what was it, the first lap this year?
Yeah, modified.
First corner. That was, because I had front row view to that. I think I was second row, and it happened right in front of me. So, I mean, you're going a lot faster even if you get into something that would just be a little body damage on a quarter mile and you do it on a half mile. The damage is going to be a lot more significant just because of speed and impact. And then motors, you were saying what's harder on it. You're running that motor a lot more on a half mile like that, and you're winging it and turning more RPMs for a longer period of time. little more wear on stuff.
So, if Knoxville had an option of building a quarter-mile track in the middle or sticking with the half-mile, what would your suggestion be?
I mean, only because of hearing rumors, if they're going to go to a quarter mile and race possibly weekly again or every couple of weeks, I mean, that'd be, I would think, the way to go.
I mean, do you feel like there's a chance if you tried to run every other week on that half-mile, would you ever get cars for it, do you think?
That's hard saying. It'd be tough. Like I said, you'd have to get people that strictly love running half miles.
And there's none of those left anymore.
No. You got some people that love that, but majority of people, especially in UMP racing, you see a lot more quarter mile tracks or small 3/8s.
Right.
So
you think the quarter mile deal could work if running every other week or something? Do you think that kind of scenario, looking at it as from a,
I feel like you're putting me under a lot of pressure.
I am putting you under a lot of pressure. I'm putting you under a lot of pressure because I want to know a racer's perspective. Maybe I should get your dad on. He's been around forever.
He is in the one video that you got, of course, and I'm not. So.
Well, that's because you didn't race that night. Whose fault's that?
Motor.
So let's get back to the question. You know what? Well, I'll let you. Darren, come here. Come here. We'll slide apart a little bit. You slide over this way. We'll get Darren in here.
I don't like being on the thing.
Just get down here. Get down here.
the camera.
You go wave. So Darren is here with Dugan tonight. Darren, I'm sure you probably ran weekly at Knoxville, didn't you?
Yep.
Back in the day. So in this day and age, the way racing is, could a weekly or bi-weekly program on a half mile work there, do you think at all?
I don't think it probably would on the half mile.
So, there's talk and they're looking at the quarter, and they've been looking at it for a couple of years with specials, not running weekly. I think it'd be tough to run weekly, but with specials and stuff, do you think something like that could work at Knoxville?
Yeah, I think you could have some specials there, yeah.
Definitely.
What do you see as was the half mile kind of the downfall? I mean, the fact that it was a half mile, the downfall of that, or was there other stuff involved in that, do you think, back in the day?
I don't know. Last time when I raced over there, they always had a pretty good turnout over there on Wednesday nights. They raced on Wednesday nights back then. Yep.
Is that something that can be done today? I know Oskaloosa tries to do it. Or
Oskaloosa is a very limited schedule, though, too. It's only not
I think
a full
it'd be worth a
season.
shot to do it.
Well, Darren, I'll let you get out here. You don't even have a chair.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. We'll let Dugan. Well, I just brought you on as a voice of reason, an elder voice of reason. How about that?
It just depends. It'd be worth a shot to try it.
Be worth a shot. That's what we're talking about. So
We'd be there.
I think I could race Knoxville 5 times a year. You'd be there every time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
You could do that too. That's not good.
So half mile, quarter mile, doesn't matter. You're going to be at Knoxville either way.
If it's only 5 races a year, I'd be there regardless. So
Well,
it's a fun track.
we'll hopefully continue to grow what we've been trying to grow at Knoxville and see what's going on. And that's Knoxville, Illinois, for anybody keeping stats at home. We're not talking about Knoxville, Iowa. Of course, it's going to be a half mile, and we'll always be a half mile, and we'll always be fast, and we'll always be the sprint car capital of the world.
Big horse track.
It is a big horse track. That's right. So, Dugan, I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for
Sorry
having me.
we won't see you Saturday at 34. Are you going to race anywhere Saturday?
We thought about Peoria.
I saw the Peoria ad pop up, and you kind of
I was looking. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're supposed to have double features at Quincy this week. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but that's all we're kind of planning for right now. And you might see us in attendance at 34 on Saturday.
Yeah, especially if you could hop in a late model for a lap or two, right?
Wow, there might be a hot lap session on a Sunday.
A Sunday.
Even
hot lap
Jessi
session.
already talked about that too.
We got it. Okay. Well, Dugan, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
me.
me.
Good luck wherever you end up this weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm going to close the show out here. I want to thank Jessi, Matt, Dugan, Darren, all for coming on the show. It's been kind of a haphazard kind of deal here tonight. I hope that you didn't hear me start to tell the story that I was going to tell about Matt, but I decided I would stop telling that story until after the show, just to make sure that the rest. Some things are not meant for the internet. That is correct. So I'm going to tell that story. If you would come to Buffalo Wild Wings, you could hear stories like I'm about to tell when I get off the show here. But you're not here, so you don't get to hear it. That's just how it works. Once again, I want to thank our friends from 357 Studios for sending us a great video tonight from the Coles County's big non-wing race. Of course, as you can see, we've got the Coles County stuff coming up. Also, the Pure Max Racing Hill Hart non-wing series coming up a little bit later. It's going to be a great weekend of racing at the Gangbusters 41. Make sure you're out there dirt nights, the Deary Brothers Summer Series, all in attendance this weekend at 34 Raceway. Peoria Raceway's running. Quincy's running. Quincy's got a mud deal on Saturday. If you want something a little different, be a good thing to check out at Quincy as well. So I'm going to end the show with a little video from our friends at 357 Studios. And we'll be back next week here on the CFF Racing. Nope, scratch that. We won't be. We'll be off. See, it says right there on the bottom of the screen. We'll be off next week. So I got some family stuff to take care of. But we'll be back October 2nd with the CFF Racing Show, leading into the big weekend at Wayne County Speedway. We'll try to get some interviews from some of our micro friends about that. But as I said, we're going to end the show with a video from our friends at 357 Studios. Thanks for joining us tonight on the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.